Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to On the Spot Motorsports with David Rogers. I am your host, Mitchell Gunter. And tonight we have Chris Parisi joining us. He races out at Gainesville Raceway, but he also races in the NMRA, National Mustang Racing Association, where he actually has 3 championships there. And so we're ready to get this thing started. I'm going to bring Chris right on in. How you doing, Chris?
Good. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, doing great. Glad that you were able to join us tonight and, talk a little bit about NMRA and what it means to you and all the success that you have had over there, plus also at Gainesville Raceway.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Well, we'll go ahead and get started with NMRA. You said that you have 3 championships over there. Can you tell our viewers what those championships are in?
Sure. Back, I believe it was in 2009 when I won my first one. I was racing Fun Ford Weekend for a while with a V6 Orange Mustang. Everybody remembers that car. It was a 2007, and they shut down that series. So I kind of just found a class over there that kind of mirrored the Ultra Stang class with Fun Ford, and they called it Super Stang. So I was lucky enough to win the 2009 Super Stang Championship with my orange V6. And then the very next season, they actually tried to change the rules a little bit to where I couldn't run my V6 anymore. And it ended up being where the ET was a little too fast for my car. So one of the sponsors of the series of the class up in New Jersey decided to see if I could run his car for the season in 2010. And I actually went from being the slowest car in 2009 winning the championship to the quickest car in the class running his 10.0 car. It was capable of 9 seconds, but I didn't have my license, so we had it tuned to run 10.0s all season. Then I won the next season with the fastest car in the class. So it was kind of a fun back-to-back 2 championships back in 2009 with the NMRA Super Stang class, and then in 2010 again in the Super Stang class. And then you think it's easy. 10 years later it took for me to win another one. It's never easy. I couldn't race every full season with them between those 10 years, but luckily last year took my newer 2020 Mustang out and was lucky enough to win it again. And I'm up there in the points this season, hopefully having a shot at another one if I'm lucky enough at the end of this season.
Yeah, I tell you, I know you do a lot of traveling, and is that kind of challenging to try to race at Gainesville and also try to make those NMRA races during the season?
It is a lot easier to run local, meaning I could come back home the same night and sleep in my own bed. But luckily, having only 6 long events to travel to, and 2 of them aren't too bad, being in Bradenton and used to be Atlanta, now Rockingham. After that, literally only 4 big trips. You just got to gear yourself up for, plan, in advance. And usually races are, got a lot of friends, and you could get a hotel together or find a place to stay at the track if you want to with some friends that might have a nice motor home. So it is a little challenging, but as long as you plan it ahead and get off a few days early from work and start heading up, you won't be wore out from the travel. But yeah, it's some long trips. I've gone all the way out to Topeka, Kansas, and Ebbing, New Hampshire for some races, and those take a very long toll on your body if you don't plan them ahead of time and take your time.
Yeah, I tell you, we're talking about Chris running NMRA. And I know this past year, you were actually the track champion out at Gainesville Raceway in the sportsman class, and you end up having to miss the divisional finals that took place in Atlanta because you were chasing that championship there in NMRA. And it's kind of hard to be at 2 places at the same time. And, having the opportunity of maybe winning and going out to Pomona and racing there, or, going ahead and racing your class that you do in NMRA. How hard was it for you to make that decision, that call to miss one and go to the other?
I was trying to figure out any way I could to do both. I was going to maybe hop in my truck and come back down and and do the division race and then run back up there. But scheduling and timing just wouldn't have worked out. I'd have had to, drive all night and have no sleep. So unfortunately, I did have to make that call. I'd rather hopefully lock up, which I did, another championship with NMRA. So I actually was lucky enough to do that up there in Bowling Green. And then if, I would have stayed, I might not have won that championship. So it was pretty nice to have my third NMRA Super Staying Championship last year, the same season. I also won my third championship at Gainesville Raceway. So it was kind of funny. I'd won Gainesville Sportsman Championship in 2000, also in 2008, and then again last year in 2021. So last year was kind of a nice little season for me to have two championships, the third one at each actually in the same season.
Right. And speaking of Gainesville winning that championship, of course, you couldn't race in a race of champions. And so Monica Roberts had the opportunity because she was the runner-up last year in points and actually was able to win Race of Champions and take home a Wally. And you probably think about it and say, you know what? That could have been my Wally, But,
I was very happy for her. I was excited. I was watching it online and seeing her and I think Marcus, going at it up there. And it was a fun night knowing that she was able to win that with the spot that would have been mine. But hey, a win is a win, and she got it, and that's awesome. But Wally, division track, Race of Champions Wally, she's got that under her belt now. That's sweet.
Yeah, now it's time for her to let one of us get that this coming year.
That would be fun. You never know.
Chris, now your next race is coming up this coming month in June, and that takes place at Norwalk, Ohio, correct?
Yes, it's a great facility. They treat you like gold up there. My first time up there was in 2002. So I guess a while back now, 20 years ago. And when you wake up and you're at the track and they come around with coffee and orange juice and donuts and there's campgrounds on site. You could buy ice cream for a pound for $1 still up there at the grandstands. And they got places for, kids and family to hang out and shops and pizza and you name it. They got it. It's a really cool facility.
Well, what are all the different classes that they run in NMRA now?
Oh boy, they have several heads-up classes from Coyote Stock and Pure Street, Limited. There's so many different heads-up ones, and then there's modular motor, Ford Muscle, Super Stang, Open Comp, several index classes. So it's kind of open to a lot of different racers and race cars and different types of racing. And then they even have a big bracket race up there that's going on for 3 days at the same time. So all the locals that might not want to run the point series, they could come out and they even have like a almost like king of the track type of event there where you'll see racing going on sometimes till 2 or 3 in the morning. So many cars show up. So it's a really neat venue and they draw a lot of people in there to Norwalk's Raceway.
Now, every once in a while, won't you take your tow vehicle and run True Street with it? Or...
I've actually entered it in several different classes just for the fun of it. Sometimes you could dual enter at these big events if it's a dual event, like Martin, Michigan, and one of the Rockingham. When we have both NMCA and NMRA combined, they'll let us take whatever car we have and run it in 2 classes, which I did with the Mustang a few times. But if they don't, then you have to find another car. And I've unhooked the truck a few times and entered it in the tough truck class or, the truck and lightning class, just, to have something else to do. You travel all that way. And a lot of racing is waiting around in the pits to hear your class called. But if you're lucky enough to have another vehicle around it or somebody that'll loan you one, yep, I'll use my tow vehicle plenty of times to go out there and have some fun with it. So yeah, I dual enter that also.
And I like both of those organizations working together when they're conjoined at the track, because to me, all that does is increase the car count, which increases the paycheck that you can possibly get at the end of the day. And I tell you, I really do enjoy watching NMRA. I will watch the live streaming that they put on there. I keep up with you and how you perform and stuff. And I tell you, there's some tough racers out there, and we mentioned that in your class. Who is your toughest competitor, you think?
I don't. I can't say who's the toughest. I'll tell you, everybody's tough. I've raced people that have been out there for the first time, watching them getting double O lights, and you know how it is. You can't slack up or think who's the hardest or who's the easiest. Every round, you could be put on the trailer. I don't take anybody for granted and nobody lightly. But yeah, there's several other multi-time champions in the class, and we all know each other. We race each other. It's kind of like us on Gainesville. I mean, we are going to get paired up together, pretty much every other, round. You never know. You look around, who's pulling down the lanes. You're going to get locked in and have to go to battle with your friends sometimes. So
Right.
I think they're all pretty tough, and they know it. Anybody could take home a win. It's not a one-man show out there. There's anybody could to have if it's their day, it's their day too,
Yeah, I think sometimes it's how everything lines up,
Yep.
and sometimes you get a little bit of luck that helps you out,
I'll take
in some
luck
of the
every day.
rounds.
I love luck.
Do you think staying pretty competitive and racing out there at Gainesville has helped you a lot achieve some of those championships that you have with
Yes,
NMRA?
yes. It actually goes further back to Jack's Raceways when I used to race every Friday night here locally in Jacksonville. And I would learn so much on the Friday night races. And then, of course, when I started going to Gainesville a few years later, I learned every time you're out at the track, you find something else about yourself, the car, the competitors, the rules. I mean, you can't know it all, and you can't do it all right every time. But if you do it enough, more things become second nature, and more things become easier and slow down for you. So when you do go to the track, sometimes, of course, we all have butterflies. You get to the finals, you're at a big national event, or even at a local one. You want to get those points, maybe get a Wally trophy during one of the NHRA Wally races, which I tried for 20 plus years to win one of those and been in the finals so many times. And finally last year won one. And it's a fun thing to be able to have a chance at that and see that kind of trophy given out to just grassroots racers like you and I versus just only the big shots at the big national event. So yeah, you learn a lot at the local race level. Nobody even at the NMRA takes going to any local track, Gainesville or anyone in the nation lightly. They know that there's a lot of killers out there on the tree. You got to be
Right.
ready when you go to a local track. So yeah, it's good practice. I mean, if I didn't go to Gainesville and practice as much, I probably wouldn't be as good at NMRA.
Yeah, and I tell you, you're talking about reaction times as well, and if your number starts with a 1, you're pretty much done. So
Yeah.
you got to be very competitive on the tree as much as possible, and sometimes you overstep a little bit and you go red. Hey, I do it as well a lot,
Yeah.
and but you have to bring that to the starting line. I mean, it's go time, and like you said, a lot of us out there at Gainesville, and probably with guys that you race and gals up with NMRA, it's like a switch. You have to turn the switch off of friendship when you're on that line, getting ready for the tree to drop.
Yeah, it has to be all go and ready to go. Even little things, I turn my cell phone off. Anything can distract you. You're out there with a pro tree in one class, and then a regular sportsman tree in another class. So that's another thing that's challenging when you travel race. Things change, and then you're not racing at the same track. There's different rollouts.
Yes,
There's different.
definitely.
The sunset at some tracks are right in your eyes, and you're not used to that. Some, Gainesville, it's behind you. So you got to be ready for anything. And luckily, being able to travel and go to most of these events year after year, you then start to learn those tracks like as if it was part of your local events. So if you're just first time out, it's fun, it's exciting, but the more and more you go to them, the more and more you get better at them.
Right. Repetitions help out a whole lot. And, you're talking about the rollout. And, one of the things noticed when I went to Rockingham and raced up there is the rollout is totally different than Gainesville.
Oh yeah.
There's like, to me, there's more of a rollout because, man, I thought I hit a tree up there one time when we was up there for divisional finals, and I was definitely sure it was going to be a triple O something, and go pick up my slip, and it's 051.
Yeah.
Because of the rollout has changed, and even Daniel Salyers, uh, and Robert Simpson and Bart Pat Gillian, guys that we raced with, they even said, "Hey, go ahead and give you a heads up. The rollout's totally different, so you've got to roll in a little bit more than you usually," because they all know I shallow stage. So you're like, "Oh, you got to take it in another inch or two to cut a good light," and I followed what they said, and still couldn't cut a double O light, But you're right. Each track has its own characteristics about it, and you having the opportunity to travel around like that I think, is really great. And and I know you can't do it all on your own. And I see your car behind you. You got all these sponsors and stuff that help support you. And I wanted to know if you wanted to talk a little bit about them.
Yes, definitely. And when I first started racing, it was in the early '90s and way before social media and before a lot of companies allowing you to kind of have the opportunity to put their name on their car. It used to be, unless you were a family member of a lot of those big sponsors back in the '90s and '80s, you weren't going to get anything. You get a phone call maybe back from somebody, one out of like 25 or 30, and then they would tell you, sorry, nothing in our budget, we can't help you.
Right.
So I kind of got lucky during the first few years of social media, starting to hit up some companies that were, accessible now that you could talk to them, via their messaging boards and everything. And that's what I took advantage of, traveling to the big events and having live streams and other, online photos being posted by photographers and from the series themselves goes a long way for these companies to be able to show a bigger footprint and maybe loyal potential customers that are racing fans. Because just using NASCAR as an example, I mean, they're a machine. They sell so many tickets, they sell so many shirts, they sell so much merchandise. So people are loyal, and if they see something on a race car that is, something that they want to buy, it could just sway them to purchase that product from them versus, they have a choice. Do I go to this company to buy, a nitrous kit, or do I go to a Compy car because I saw a Compy car in Chris's car?
Right.
So it does help. And Best Bet a few years ago, casino here in Jacksonville, Poker Room. A lot of my friends work there. I go there often. My dad, family, my wife, we enjoy, going there. It's not far from our house. So it took a little bit of time to get them on board. Like any sponsor, you have to let them know, hey, what are you going to do for us, and how can we get a return for our investment? And it was funny. I bought the biggest logoed shirt I could back in, I think, 16, and I kept wearing it in the winner's circle, and I kept sending it to the marketing guy. I said, it'll look a lot better on the door than it would on just my shirt. And then they kind of realized that, what? Yeah, it would look a lot better. And, I said, that billboard that you spend X amount of dollars, for 30 days, I could have the same amount of, investment on my car, and I'll put it on there for a full year. So you have to kind of do your research, do your homework, talk to the marketing people, and be a positive, sales, as much as you can, like a salesperson for that company, and promote them. I mean, who hasn't seen a John Force interview where he can't win without Castrol and everybody that's on his
Right.
car? That's how you win. Without their support, you don't have the means to travel and to go do what we enjoy to do. But each company has a budget. They gotta hit marketing and spending as part of what these companies need to do in order to continue to thrive in their business. So if I could bring some loyal racing fans, some positive, or the companies that are on my car, some loyal race fans, to go to their stores or to purchase their products online, I'm all for it. I try every time I travel, you'll see me posting and sharing things. And luckily enough, I've been in a lot of winner's circle photos and send them to all my, sponsors and the people that support me. And they just, enjoy seeing it. It's a great conversation piece too for a company, to be able to say, hey, did you see, Chris was out there, won another race and got another championship. Oh, 2 championships last year in the Wally, it was a great
Right.
season, so it's definitely a plus to get sponsors. It's not easy, but if you take the time and show companies that you're worth, you're going to make it worth their while. Their return on their investment is going to come back to them, sometimes a lot more than what they think. And you get it's like word of mouth in my own business, without, people, talking or supporting or showing their business name, nobody's going to know that, they're needy customers, so it's nice to be part of that whole system. And I guess sponsorship accusation, that we acquiring them over the years and been very lucky and blessed with that.
Yeah, and I see a lot of when you win and stuff like that. I see you hashtag the companies as well. So when that feed goes on Facebook, those companies are on there and they can click on them and try to buy the same stuff that you have on your car. That's another great marketing tool that you do to keep your sponsors happy by promoting their products and not just by having decals on the car.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me on the side. They'll hit me up through Messenger and say, "How do you do it? How do you get those companies?" Because it's easy to say, "Oh, I'll put a sticker on my car if they give me money." That's not the right attitude and thought process of
Right.
getting a sponsor. It's not about get the money and put the sticker on the car. It's about what can you show to them, and then you go above and beyond what you tell them what you can do. It's not take the money then disappear. It's then actually follow through with traveling, going to these big events, and then those companies actually will sometimes promote me on their websites, as, hey, look what happened at this event, our parts are on his car. So not only do they get what I share, they also get what the other companies share. So it's cross marketing. So I let a lot of my sponsors know that it's not just going to be Chris Parisi's Facebook or Parisi Racing Facebook page sharing this. It'll be Steeda, it'll be Best Bet, it'll be, on Twitter, on, Instagram, on Facebook. So all those things add up. And that's what companies want to see, the numbers kind of going higher up on their, customers, enjoying and seeing names, on race cars is a plus.
Well, we share a mutual friend that does a lot of tuning. Probably one of the best tuners in the world, Tony Gagnon.
Yep.
And I know he's done a lot for me in the past tuning cars, and I know he is a big supporter of yours at with Tuners Inc. And also you use HP tuners as well on your vehicle through him tuning. Can you talk to us a little bit about that partnership that you had with Tony all these years, and a little bit about HP tuners and how they help you perform better at the track? But before you get to that, I got Robert on here. He says, "Great job." And your wife's on here, and she said, "Much love for the sponsors."
Very nice. That's cool. Well, Tony and I go back to the early 90s. My dad, my brother, him, we all kind of met in the racing scene back then on the street, of course. And then as we all kind of grew up a little bit more and more at the track versus on the street. But yeah, every one of my championship cars that I ever raced had a tune or was touched by Tony Gagnon. So I can proudly say that I haven't had a championship without Tony working on one of my cars. So when I get a car, newer, older, whatever I have, the first thing I want to do is, kind of decide, a few mods that I want to have and then add them to the car. And then next call is Tony. Tony, this is what I got. This is what we want to do with it. And he spot on almost every time. I barely ever have to go back at all and do any fine tuning. That's if I don't want to keep adding nitrous or something else, he'll have to help out whenever you do any changes. But as the years progressed and the technology is, moved leaps and bounds from years ago, he has also moved along with that. So I know with his own shop, Tuners Inc., him and Sherry there, whenever I've needed help with their dyno tunes, they've been there for me. And then now with HP Tuners, they came along and he's been working with them and sponsoring the actual class that I won last year was HP Tuners Super Stang. So they actually are a major sponsor at the NMRA events, and he and Sherry have been at every one of the events and in the winner circle with me and whoever else wins, giving hats and shirts and being there for support at the big events. Unlike, some other companies, they might just put their name out there and don't show up. He shows up and he actually will be there and be able to help racers at the events, and not just Super Stang, at any level, any class, you name it. Tony is everywhere all weekend long, staying there in his motorhome and zipping around in his little scooter. And he's helping people in my pits and in my car and you name it. HP Tuners, great products. And I have it on my car. I have their tunes and their tuners. And Tony's great. I mean, without him, I'd be feeling like, where do I go? What do I do? So, great guy.
Definitely. And one thing that I like about Tony, when you take your car there and put on a dyno and he starts tuning on it, man, he gets really involved. I mean, really involved. And I remember when I had the Mercury Cougar, you probably remember the Mercury Cougar that I used to race. And so we were tuning it and stuff. And we started talking. He's like, hey, let's just change the jet from 100 to a 75 shot or 70 shot, and let's see what it'd do. I had a copy car kit in that car.
Yeah.
And so we switched it and we picked up like 20 extra horsepower because we were hitting the right air fuel ratio, and was making power, making sure the car wasn't getting lean at any time that it was being sprayed. And I just like his enthusiasm when he gets in there. And I mean, he is all business when he is working on people's cars. And I have a lot of respect for Tony. And I wouldn't want anybody else touching my car but Tony.
Yeah, me neither. I feel the same way.
When I get some more things done to my Charger, it's going right back to Tony to get the tune corrected where it needs to be and see if we can make some horsepower gains or just keep the car safe in a safe place without leaning out. Tony told me a while back, it's always good to have your car a little rich than a little lean, because with a little rich, you can drive it. When it goes lean, you're going to be walking.
Oh yeah, true.
So yeah, much respect for Tony. So where are you sitting right now in points?
NMRA points, I'm about 5 points back from first place. So literally one qualifying position back from first place in points, which I was talking to my good friend Danny Tao the other day. And sometimes it's not fun always being number one because that's what everybody wants to strive to beat. So I'm now in number 2, so which is fine because we still have 3 races left. Usually it'll always come down to the last event, and 4 or 5 guys all have a shot at it. So it's a tough class. All of them are at NMRA, so you got to be on your game. Every race, even qualifying positions are separated by 5-10 points apiece, and it could come down to how you qualified throughout the year, and you may have won the same amount of rounds as the guy in first or second, and you got to be on your game from the second you show up to one of those events to the very last pass you make. And it's always a long season. We start off in March and we finish in September, so 3 more to go, and just got to keep trying. We'll see. Maybe I could climb back up to number one after the next race. But as long as you're there at the end of the season, that's the one that matters most.
Right. And like you said, there's no ducks over
No.
there, and I tell you, there's no ducks really in our sportsman class at Gainesville.
Mm-hmm.
It's very competitive as well, and
Yeah.
we got a bunch of good racers over there that have got track championships, runner ups, or NMRA champion. That's hunting us down. We haven't really raced too much against each other. Uh, I try to stay away from you as much as possible until we, go to the ladder and ladder up over there because, we kind of pit together side
Yeah.
by side and I have a lot of respect for you.
But yeah,
I
that's
think
what
you're,
we like to try to see each other at the end. It's not any fun racing your friends in the early rounds.
no, no, not at all. But racing in general, we all feel like a family, and it pretty much probably feels that the same way when with MNRA when you're racing there as it does out at Gainesville. Everyone's always willing to jump in and help you out. No one doesn't want to win a race on a competition buy. So everybody's pretty proactive in helping everybody, and that's what I like about drag racing. Do you kind of feel the same way? Is that one of the reasons why you like drag racing, or
Yeah.
or is it because you like to follow in your father's footsteps?
Well, I like both, but the NMRA family there's people that are offering you to come to their pits and have dinner, offering you to come to their pits and eat breakfast the next morning. That when they show up, they're there for the whole weekend. They're cooking out, they're having a good time, they're partying all weekend and then racing hard. But I have a good story with again my close friend like every race we've pitted together for I think 20 years now. Danny Tao, he's from Atlanta, and he's a multi-time champion also with the Ford Muscle class. Him and I butted heads in that class, and last year he won the Ford Muscle Championship, and I won the Super Stang Championship. But as an example, like you said, sportsmanship with racers, and I think it was 2009 or 2010, we were racing in Charlotte, and we were called to the lanes in our Super Stang class when I was running my old 2007 Orange Mustang, and my battery, I left the hood down. I tried something all weekend. I said to myself, I'm not going to let this car change temperature. I just left the hood down all weekend. Well, it heat soaked the battery, and when I went to start to pull out, it wouldn't start. We were the first pair in the lanes because our class was called first, but there was 10 other classes behind us. And the racer said, let's pull to the side, see if you could get started, let everybody else go first. Well, Danny was on a little scooter. He zipped back to the pits as quick as he could, got his F-250, drove it up there, pulled one of the batteries out and crammed it in there as quick as he could. And I was lucky enough to still make the round, which was the finals, and win the race. So not only did the competitor, David Barchota, allow me to, try to get fixed and make it to the final round, then another racer is doing everything they can, yanking batteries out of their own vehicles and putting them in my car, is scrambling as fast as they could so I could make that round. So that there just, goes to show just little things like that. People could turn their back on you, but they didn't. They all,
Right.
helped, and the sportsmanship level is up there for these big events, and it's not like cutthroat, until you get to the line. But getting you to the line, they'll help you, But when you're out there, you're on your own.
Yeah, I mean that is just great. It just shows the passion of the sport when you see things like that, and in the friendships, those friendships, they'll last forever. Those memories and stuff will, and stuff to hand down to other people, and do like we're doing right now.
Yes.
Let's see. Marvin wants to know who is in the number one spot.
Well, Marvin is the number one racer right now. And that's really a good thing, Marvin, because the target's now on your back and not on my back. But I think at the end of the season, I'll use a quote like he said, not that it's anything that I cared about because I wasn't even there. I think someone said they were the new sheriff, uh, and I think that was him. But I think last year Marvin and I raced about 4 times. He could let you know how many times he beat me last year. I think it wasn't too many.
Now, we were talking about last year that you missed the divisional finals for NHRA ET Summit ET Series. Uh, is that going to be a problem this year for you, or does the schedules allow you to run at both?
It actually was exciting to know that the division finals is the following weekend after the NMRA World Finals in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Now all I got to do is make sure I get enough points at the local level to make and qualify that team, which hopefully I will. I missed a few races from traveling already, and there was enough left on the calendar that I feel that if I just make every one, I should have enough points. If they get me on the team, I'll at least have a shot at that. Every year we all love to just be part of that team and be able to travel to that division final race and maybe get lucky and have a shot at a win there.
Yeah, it'd be really nice for the team to, win the team championship and all of us get some jackets. I think it's been a little while since the last time that has happened for Team Gainesville. And man, I would love to win one of those jackets instead of getting a T-shirt.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be really nice.
I tell you what, I'm going to flash some pictures up of your car, and if you like to kind of explain a little bit about each one of them.
Sure.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and start off with this one.
Oh, that was in Bradenton this year. I was lucky enough to win the opening event, and I had it wire to wire. I believe I was the top qualifier of that race, and it was a fun day down there in Bradenton. First weekend in March this season, I started off with the win, NMRA. And that's the trophy I got. I had to take a picture of the trophy and sponsor on the windshield, HP Tuners of the class. So they changed it up this year. It's really nice when they make a change. We've been getting a trophy that was a black Victor trophy. They changed it to a glass trophy this year. So it's always nice when the series decides to change things up, add something nice and change for the winners when they get lucky enough to win.
We may have some other viewers watch this, and I see that you have Deep written on your front windshield. Do you want to explain to those viewers why you have Deep written on there? The racers are going to know, but let the other viewers know.
Sure. When you stage your car on the starting line at a drag race, there's a 6-inch or so rollout between your stage beam and when you start the actual and trigger the reaction time beam. And when you actually decide to stop and get yourself set and ready to go, you could either be really shallow or you could tell the starter and the other racers that you want to go further in deep, which will put you out of the pre-stage beam and roll you a little bit closer to the starting beam. It's a double-edged sword. It could help you get a good reaction time, but it could also, unfortunately, potentially put you into the red light zone and take you out. So you have to be careful and find that sweet spot if you are a deep stage racer. And with a pro tree style race that we have in our super staying class at the NMRA, deep is usually going to be something you see in most of the racers' windows. Not everybody does it, but depending on how their car is geared and how it reacts, and you add that with the driver's reaction time, it's going to give you a reaction time on your time slip. And reaction time is pretty much everything. If your cars are consistent and they're running good and you don't get the reaction time, you're probably not going to get the win light and you're going to be packing up and going home. So a lot of racing and drag racing is all won and lost at the starting line. And a lot of people don't realize that because until you get out there and start playing around and having fun doing it, then you start to realize that's where you can fine tune your your craft as a driver, and reaction time is going to be one of the number one things they'll teach you out there at the races right off the bat, that you have to be on your game at the starting line.
I've tried deep staging, and man, I am terrible at it. I will go red every single time.
Yeah,
So I'm one of those that will just barely bump in and light the second bulb. Um, everybody's different. Everybody sees the tree with their eyes and the reaction to their brain, to their foot. It's all different. And, someone told me one time, you don't try to change you change the position of your car by rolling in and finding, like you said, the sweet spot.
yeah.
And to me, just barely going in and bump the bottom bulb is the best for me. But how about this one right here?
Well, that was Bradenton last year, so I was lucky enough to win it in 2021 and in 2022, the opening race of each season for the National Mustang Race Association Super Stang class. So that was a fun weekend also. It was another wire to wire. I had a number one qualifying position. I had the best reaction time leading into the race, and then it put me in the number one spot, and won the race also last year in March of 2021 down in Bradenton.
David Rogers, my partner, he just chimed in and said, "Man, this is a great show."
Thank you, David. Thank you for having the show. That was Atlanta. This was a very great race for me, but also a little bit sad because it was the last Atlanta event I ever raced in before they shut down the Atlanta Dragway, and I've raced there for years and years and years, and won a lot of races there and had a lot of fun there. And it's sad that when you go to a big national event and you see it on TV when NHRA races there and then you race there, it kind of feels exciting. And then to see the whole thing, like a few drag strips we're seeing disappear off the map lately. I won this last year in April, and that was the last time the National Mustang Race Association raced there. So it was a big win. And oh yeah, if you're still watching, Marvin, I think you were in the other lane when I won that one.
Yeah, I tell you, it was a really sad thing to see these tracks. Atlanta's gone. We have Palm Beach Raceway's gone.
Yeah.
I hear Memphis is gone, or is going to be gone. We've lost Texas, and Houston, Texas.
Yeah.
We've lost that track, and it's sad, And I try to push where tell people, hey, you've got to go out, you got to start supporting these tracks. If you like racing, hey, what's $15 to go to watch a divisional race? I mean, a ET race, or even go and watch the Lucas Oil Series and support these tracks, because if we don't start doing that, we're going to see a whole lot more tracks closed than what we already are. It's great entertainment. It's great for the kids to go out and watch. And even if you have a child that's, 5 years old, take them down there and let them see those junior dragsters. It might be something that you may want to get involved in with your child. At 5 years old, they can start running a junior dragster down the track in non-competition format, but it's to get them ready when they become 6 years old. And I think it's a great opportunity for people to get their kids involved, because they'll be the future of drag racing, no matter what sanction body that they end up at. I mean, we have so many sanction bodies out there that they're all very important to keep going.
Yes, I agree. And all those tracks you mentioned, I've actually raced at every one of them, have wins. And my dad and I, we raced out in Baytown in Houston, and both of us got a win back in 2007 on the same weekend out there, and have a dual winner circle photo. So it's sad to see places that you've been to personally just, closing up. It's not fun to see. So we do need to support them and get out there and have some fun. I talk to a lot of people, and when they find out that I'm a drag racer, the first thing they think is, "Oh, that's something I'd like to take my kids to." And some of the events, like the NMRA, it's free to take their kids to it. It's
Right.
12 and under are free. Just come out, enjoy the weekend, have fun. So when you see them coming to town, and if you hear this, and you know we're coming to Norwalk in a few weeks, hey, if you have kids up there in Norwalk, Ohio, bring them out. There's a playground there. You can get ice cream for $1. You can watch drag racing all day from sun up till sundown all weekend long.
It's great entertainment for everybody, And after these tracks are gone, Chris, a lot of people's going to go, "Oh man, I really should have went there.
Mm-hmm.
I should have supported my hometown track." And now that it's gone, our city is going to lose so much money in our economy that it's not funny. And you're going to see that in Baytown, and you're going to see that in Atlanta. I mean, them were two major big money maker tracks that held NHRA events. And it's also sad for the people who built race cars that raced there for the Summit Bracket Series or the Lucas Oil Series, and now they got to travel another 250 miles. 300 miles is the closest track for them to go, like Palm Beach. With that closing, you have Immokalee and you have Orlando,
Mm-hmm.
and both of them are like 2 hour and 2.5 hour drives. And eventually what you're going to see is people racing back on the street, unfortunately, and that just creates a whole dangerous situation. And it's better to have the tracks.
I agree.
Tell us a little bit about this one.
that was that was a great night. It was a NHRA.TV challenge race last year. I think it was in April or early in the season. And like I said, that was like the top of the echelon for winning trophies for any NHRA driver or drag racer. They want to win that Wally trophy. And I think I had my hand so close to him for many years and finals, and unfortunately never nabbed one. And last year I won one of them too. So last year in Gainesville, when we had that race, it was an exciting night to drive home that sitting in the passenger front seat. And I'm glad I got one under my belt now. Hopefully I'll be able to get a few more down the road.
Well, I'm hoping if I win any race out of Gainesville this year, that is the race that I win, and I'll finally take home the Wally.
Yes, sir. I know. That's the one everybody wants. It's a nice one. That's a win.
And hopefully I don't have to contest you for it.
Well, it'll be a fun night if one of us take it home. This was just doing a burnout last year. This probably was a screenshot after my buddy sent me, Rob Walker. He's here, always with me at the track. Everybody knows I'm taking videos of my car. And then luckily his footage or his videos turn into a still shot sometimes where I could share some really cool photos up close of the car in action. And it was one of the events down there last year when I won the championship down there in Gainesville too for the sportsman class. And that was one of the that's the article there in the NMRA Super State when they had the championship articles for. Luckily, they do like the top 10, and I was the champion for Super State last year. And just a picture out of the Race Pages magazine that NMRA puts out. And it's nice to have those to give to your sponsors and your friends and your family. And that was in actually last year in Norwalk, Ohio. And we're going there, and I love that racetrack. That's actually one of the first national events I won in 2002 when I was racing my borrowed grandmother's Focus in the 4.6 Frenzy class. So I remember it like yesterday. It was taking a borrowed car from my grandmother that she thought I was crazy. I was going to take her car out racing, but I won there. And it's nice. It's a beautiful facility. I'm looking forward to going back in a few weeks and maybe getting in the winner's circle there again would be awesome. It's another picture from the NMRA Race Pages coverage from the champions from last year, and it's always nice to get your car in ink. It's permanent. It's something that people like to show off, like Racer Walsh there on the nose of the car. he's got this magazine article sitting right there on his counter. Open up to that page, able to show his company off to people walking in or somebody he supports out at the races.
I tell you what, they're really great guys up there, and I remember, I raced Fords and a Mustang and stuff in the past, and uh, they're real nice to talk to and very helpful on trying to find you what you're looking for.
Yeah, Brian and everybody there that works there, and over the years, everybody that's come and gone from there, I've always enjoyed working with them since the early 90s. There was a shot, I believe, was in Bowling Green, Kentucky last year, right after I nabbed the World Championship. And it wasn't an eventful weekend, unfortunately. I'll be honest with you. Everybody that was in contention for the championship, 1, 2, and 3, me and a few other guys, we all kind of had some bad first rounds. But right after that happened, I was locked up. There wasn't anybody that could catch me. So by showing up, by virtue of all three of us bowing out in the early round, I actually just mathematically was the champion at that point. So, but you got to be there. If you don't show up and you don't get the points for at least checking in and showing up, that could be the cost of a championship too. So a big part of winning these things is dedicating the time that it takes to travel and be at the big events, and accumulate those points that add up at the end of the year.
Right. Like I said, it takes a lot of dedication to run a series like that. You got to be very committed to do it. And you miss one race, your chances of winning a championship are very, very slim.
Yeah,
Not unless you can win 5 of the 6.
yeah, I know some people that have done it. Danny did it last year. He had a surgery, made him miss the first race, but then he came right out of the box and won 2 or 3 right out of the gate, and luckily used that one drop race rule, but didn't get any bonus for the perfect attendance, and he was able to do it. But it's far and few between. If you miss a race, usually it's number 2 or worse from that point.
Is there anything else that you might like to mention to our viewers?
Um, other than just going out, like you said earlier, and supporting, these tracks, and it's a fun thing to do. Everybody has a family member that built a hot rod or used to run a hot rod. One of my sponsors here in town, told me they used to build cars with their dad and would just love to see their name on my car, Massage Green. They were on there because her memories, of having the, time with her dad building a Mustang back when she was a kid. Now she could say her name is on a Mustang that goes to these big events, and the company, her parent company up north, are all excited to see when I'm coming up there. They could say, "Oh, look, that name is on the car." So just going out and supporting racers and the companies that you see in their cars, these tracks, these series. We're out here having fun, but it's fun for everybody just to come and be a spectator and enjoy the sounds, the smells, the sights. There's a lot to see at a drag racing event. And you take your kids there, they'll be talking about it for a long time. And then, like my son, when I took him to the Gator Nationals for the first few times, he couldn't wait to bring his friends the next time. And he's still bringing friends. And whoever he finds out that's never been, he brings them next year or the next year. So it's been passed down in my family from my dad to me, and myself to my son, and now my son to his friends, and it'll go on generations hopefully, and keep the sport strong and alive. You still there? I think you're freezing up on me. I don't know if you still hear me. Well, now it's my show. Mitchell, you're on the spot. You need to get back in there. Well, we are having technical difficulties, I think. Hopefully he can find out what's going on with it, and I'm still on.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, everybody, there's my Mustang behind me and a few of my trophies in the background.
The sponsor.
Sponsors? Oh yeah, we got a lot of sponsors on the card. Well, I think the show is almost over, but we've lost Mitchell for some reason. He's going to find out what's going on in his computer probably here in a minute and pop back in. So as we sit here and wait for Mitchell, hopefully everybody's doing good and has a good Memorial Day weekend coming up. Here he comes.
Hey, sorry about that. For some reason,
I took over the show while you were gone. We were going to talk about, the weather and everything else going on and Memorial Day weekend coming up,
yeah, for some reason the camera just went off. I don't know why it did that, but hey, we have technical difficulties from time to time.
That's fine.
But I tell you what, it has been great, Chris, having you on and talking about NMRA and your success that you've had, and also out at Gainesville Raceway as well.
Well, thank you very much. I don't want to be like, what was that, Rocky Balboa in one of the Rocky movies? You always got to be on your game. So I got to get back to training. I'll be at Gainesville in a few weeks. I'll be in the NMRA in a few weeks. So we'll all be back at it doing our thing.
Let's see. Got some comments. Okay. It was David. He was saying that, pretty much saying I'll be right back. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I held it up for a few minutes. At least I didn't freeze up. You froze up.
Oh, I could hear you.
Good.
Yeah, I definitely could hear you. But again, thank you for coming on. I hope everybody enjoyed tonight on the Spot Motorsports with David Rogers. We cannot wait to the next race out at Gainesville Raceway. We're live streaming all the races out there for, racers' families to tune in and, check and see how their loved ones are doing out there. I want to thank the track and Jody Kennedy for the opportunity to go out there and do that for everyone. It brings a lot of joy to me. I really love this sport, all aspects of it. And we have a really great team out there at Gainesville Raceway that helps support the racers and preps the track for us. Just wonderful.
Yes, I agree. It's awesome to have you guys doing the live stream and the track allowing that. It's fun to do. I love sharing that, letting people see what's going on. It brings them a little closer if they can't make it after the races.
Oh yeah, and another thing that I like about it, Chris, our intercom in some places out at the track is not the best in the world. And, if they're sitting in their motorhome or in the back of their trailer, hey, they can go on the phone, they can watch it on Facebook, or they can go to YouTube and watch it as well. And hear what actually is going on and keep them updated so they know when they've got to get ready to bring their vehicles to the staging lanes and get ready to go.
Yeah, I like it. I'm watching it in my car sometimes, just sitting there in the lanes or sitting back in the pit. So it is nice to have.
Yeah, and before we get going this afternoon, I want to mention our guest that will be coming on June the 1st. We're going to have Roy Hill. We're going to talk about his drag racing experience back in the day, running pro stock, and also about his school that he has up there in North Carolina. They do a lot of their classes at Piedmont Dragway, and I'm really looking forward to that. And also, the best thing about it, hey, if you want to learn how to, get a different license, the best place to go is actually go to one of these schools because they will teach you all different types of stuff, how to react to the light. They'll help you with your rollout, all the technical questions that you have, so a big hats off to Roy Hill for going to come and join us on June the 1st.
That's going to be great. I'll be tuning in to see that.
Well, again, Chris, I appreciate it tonight. And I guess I will be seeing you in a couple of weeks out at Gainesville.
Yep.
And I will do my best not lined up against you. At least one good thing about you like to go to the front of the line. And I like to play around somewhere in the middle,
Thank you. It was great seeing you.
Good seeing you. Take
Thank
care.
you. You too.
And there goes Chris. Again, sorry about the technical difficulties that we had there right at the end of the show. But please come back and join us every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. We're going to do our best to have guests on every night. And we're looking at not just racers, we're looking at people who run schools, people who work on the cars, public relations, and not just NASCAR. Just last week, we had some gentlemen on that runs the Legends cars up there in Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and that series up there. And we're going to just do our best to continue bringing you people on and filling you with knowledge. But until then, we are going to go ahead and get ready to get out of here. And we appreciate y'all coming on and watching.